guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to another video. What I thought we'd do today is go through each of the Midlands clubs in the Championship and see where I think they will finish this season. We've got 5 clubs to go through. Alphabetically, we've got Birmingham City, Coventry City, Derby County, Nottingham Forest and Stoke City. 3 from the West Midlands, 2 from the East Midlands, and we'll go through each of them and where I think they're going to finish. Starting alphabetically then, we have Birmingham City, who play at St Andrews. Coventry City are obviously ground sharing with them this season, and at the time of recording this, 17 games in, Birmingham City are sat 15th in the table, having just won back-to-back games away to Reading and Bristol City. 2 really good wins actually. Obviously Coventry City have played them, and I thought it was probably one of the most boring games I've seen this season. A 0-0 where neither team looked like snatching it. Okay, maybe Birmingham had one chance towards the end with Lucas Djukovic, who could have snatched it, but I think a 0-0 was fair in that one. As for 15th in the table, I think that's also fair. Birmingham City's results haven't been too exciting, but they've picked up a few decent wins, and they just seem to be doing enough to stay out of trouble. As for where I think they're going to finish this season, I don't actually see them finishing too far from where they are now. At the start of the season, I predicted them to finish 16th, and they are 15th at the moment, which is pretty close. But I will say I've been pleasantly surprised by how they've played in some of their victories this season. They've absolutely outclassed some of the teams they've played, and they play some really decent football. This experience that Birmingham City have in the Championship, they just know how to grind out some results, and with the manager and with some of their signings like Jonathan Lako and George Friend, I think they've got a good team. Lucas Djukovic obviously scores quite a few goals. I think they've got a good team all round. I think personally Birmingham City will probably climb a couple spaces from where they are now. I'm going to predict them to finish 12th come the end of the season, so slap bang in the middle of the table. Let me know what you think of that one down in the comments. Now next up we have my team, Coventry City, who are 19th in the table, and at the start of the season I predicted them to finish 14th, pretty close to where I predicted Birmingham. Now 6 or 7 games ago I'd have probably been thinking that it was way off the way Coventry were playing. Well, we weren't playing bad, but the results just weren't going our way. I thought we were just looking a bit naive and that we were going to be in the bottom 3 or 4 this season. But since the last international break, Coventry City have gone 6 games unbeaten. The most recent results were a 3-1 win against Rotherham and a 0-0 against Luton. And Mark Robins just seems to know what he's doing now. It's like he's found his feet, the club have found their feet, the players have found their feet, and we're just starting to battle our way into the season at a really important time as well, when December has some juicy fixtures for us, playing a lot of the bottom teams. We're just starting to climb away, and with an extra win or 2 we could be up to 13th or 14th. Now, obviously I predicted us to finish 14th at the start of the season, and we are 19th, so I suppose you could say I'm a bit off at the moment, but with Coventry's form, we could get to 14th in no time. I personally see Coventry climbing a couple more spaces before the end of the season. I think we're going to finish 17th. I think we're going to be clear of the bottom 3 with maybe 1 or 2 games to go, but I don't think it's going to be too much of a comfortable season. We are just using this season to find our feet. We're not exactly looking towards the top 6. If we were mid-table with maybe 10 games to go, we could have a very slight chance of that, but I think that is very unrealistic this season. Coventry City to finish 17th, and personally I'd take that the way we're going at the moment. Coventry City to finish 17th. Now next up we have Derby County, who are the surprise team out of these Midlands teams. They are 22nd at the moment, and at the start of the season I predicted them to finish in the playoffs. Obviously Derby, notoriously a big Championship club, and they are used to finishing in the top half. They're finished in the playoffs for quite a few seasons, but this season has started dreadfully. I don't know what's going on at Derby County. I don't know what's gone wrong. There's just a few problems that have just sort of come together, and Derby have had a poor start. Personally, I think they're going to improve. I don't think they'll be the bottom club. I don't think they'll be second bottom either. I think they're going to climb away. At the moment, they've jumped up to 22nd. Since that 3-0 loss to Middlesbrough, they've actually gone 4 games unbeaten. Okay, 3 of them were draws, but it's still quite good. When Coventry City played Derby County, I thought they were okay. Once again, not a lot to split the 2 teams. I think Coventry City could have attacked that game more. We could have won that one, but in the end, Derby were the team that took the lead, and Coventry had to score a 91st minute equaliser to share the spoils. Personally, I don't think Derby are going to have a season to remember, but I think the size of their club and some of the players they've got, and with Wayne Rooney, they will have just enough to stay up this season. I think they're going to pull clear of the relegation zone and finish 20th at the end of the season. Now next up we have Nottingham Forest, who are another surprise team down near the bottom. Both East Midlands clubs have had a poor start so far this season. Forest, once again, I predicted them to be up there in the playoffs this season, but like I said, I don't know what's going on at Forest. Their start was very poor, and I mean their first 3 or 4 games they didn't get any points. They brought in Chris Hughton and things have improved a bit. Their performances have looked a bit better, but the results still aren't great. They're 21st, so they are just above the bottom 3, but that's still not where they'd want to be. Now obviously Coventry City have played Forest, and it's a really weird game. Coventry City weren't very good in the first half. Forest were 1-0 up at half time. Coventry dominated the second half, and we just didn't take our chances, and the championship experience of Nottingham Forest shone through and they snatched it 2-1 with Lyle Taylor scoring a penalty right at the end. I think this season Forest, once again like Derby, are just going to have a season where they're just going to chalk it off down to a bad season. Hughton will do the business of keeping them up, but once again it's not going to be a pretty season for Nottingham Forest. Things just don't look too great. They might need to make some signings in the January transfer window because their results haven't drastically improved, but I do think they'll just stay up. I'm going to go for 18th for Nottingham Forest. And finally we have Stoke City, the highest out of all of these teams in the Midlands, and Stoke City are 8th in the table. They've been pretty good this season, a bit surprising for me because although I think they're a decent club with decent fans, decent players, in the last couple of seasons in the Championship they just haven't quite been able to get it right. At the moment they're sat 8th and they do look like real contenders for the playoffs this season. I think the top 2's probably out of their grasp. I think personally the top 2 for me will probably be between Bournemouth, Norwich, Watford and Brentford. But going back to Stoke City, they've looked pretty good. At the time of recording this, 17 games in, they are 8th. They've just lost 2-1 to Cardiff, which isn't a great result. But before that, they've got 3 clean sheets in a row, which is just fantastic. 3 clean sheets in a row. Wow. But I think for Stoke City, it's going to be a season where they're just going to be close to the playoffs. They'll either just sneak in or just fall short. And obviously the Stoke fans will be desperate to sneak into the playoffs and have a chance of getting promoted this season. I think they're just going to miss out. I'm going to go for 7th for Stoke City. They look quite good, but I think there's just the odd result that just seems to slip away from them. And I think to get into the top 6, they've just got to be a little bit more consistent. I think they're going to finish 7th. So then guys, that wraps up today's videos. Let me know down below which club you support and what you thought of today's video, and where you think your club's going to finish. We've had some real surprise packages this season. Like I said, the 2 East Midlands clubs have had shockers. Birmingham right in the middle, Stoke City doing okay, Coventry City not a great start, but things are starting to improve. Obviously we're only 1/3 of the way through the season, or just a bit more than that, maybe 2/5. And there's a long way to go. You know, teams near the top can finish near the bottom still, and teams near the bottom can still finish near the top. But let me know what you think down in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace out.